Welcome to Lunch with the Lord. I'm Pastor Mark, and we are beginning this letter of Paul to the Galatians. But before we begin, Jeremiah 15:16, Thy words were found, and I did eat them, and thy word was unto me the joy and rejoicing of my heart. Now, as I said in the introduction to this letter of Paul to the Galatians, Paul comes right out from the beginning, and he attacks the teachings of these Judaizers to the Galatian believers there. One of the things that the Judaizers said to the Galatian people was that Paul was not sent by God. All right? If Paul truly was sent by God, then he would teach the things of God, and we know that the things of God is the law of Moses, right? I mean, Moses was sent by God. We know Moses was a man of God, and Moses received the law from God, right? Therefore, if Paul truly is an apostle, one who is sent by God, then he would teach also the teachings of someone else who was sent by God, meaning Moses, right? So if Paul really is God's man, then he would teach you and encourage you to keep the law of Moses, who also was sent by God, right? And Paul here comes right out from the very beginning, and he wants to instruct the Galatian people on his apostleship, all right? So in Galatians chapter 1, verse 1, Paul says, Paul, an apostle, not of men, neither by man, but by Jesus Christ and God the Father, who raised him from the dead. Now, apostle here, with Paul's first words, he begins his attack. And apostle, the word apostle means one who is sent, okay? By using the title apostle, Paul claims to be a person who was divinely commissioned to preach the gospel and is authorized by God. All right? Apostolos. Okay? Apostolos is the Greek word, and it refers not only to the act of sending someone with a specific commission, but also to represent the one who sent you. All right? Paul is saying that he not only had a message to announce, but he had official credentials from God to do so. Now, we think official credentials, that means a piece of paper. Now, Paul, when he was on his missionary journeys, obviously he didn't have a piece of paper or a scroll rolled up with, signed by God. You are an apostle, and the signature is God, G-O-D. This is my handwriting, okay? No, it's not like that. But Paul is saying that I have been sent by God, and I am here to represent God, and I will teach you the things of God. Now, again, the Greek word apostolos means one who is sent. That's what an apostle is. An apostle is someone who is sent. So if you go and you share the gospel in a nursing home, or you feel called to teach Sunday school or youth ministry, or you feel called to go to the hospital and minister the word of God there, then you also are functioning as an apostle. If you teach Sunday school, a Bible study, maybe your church has a ministry to the homeless, and you go to the homeless and provide needs for them, but also give to them the word of God. Maybe you go street witnessing down in the city or town where you live, and once a week your church goes, or once a month they go to the street corners and witness to people on streets. You are functioning as an apostle. Okay? The title apostle isn't limited to only people who lead churches. All right? In some churches, the word apostle has been twisted away from its biblical meaning. And this is sad because nowadays we have churches where oh, who's the pastor of your church? Well, we don't have pastors. We have apostles. These are apostles. And these churches, they take the true meaning of what an apostle is and they twist it into being some kind of high-minded position that a person attains to. And they also, it's funny, being we're talking about liberty here in the gospel of the Galatians here. What they do is they give you a sense of legalism concerning that word apostle, right? Oh, not everyone can be an apostle. Only those that have met this criteria, only they can be apostles in our church, right? The rest of you, well, you're just in the congregation. But, the leader of our church, he's an apostle. And his assistant, well, he's an apostle too, or she's an apostle too. And there's this legalistic, it's sad. It really is. Because, they have this desire to want to attain some position. Like they're looking down on you or something. And yet, to get back to the root of what an apostle is simply someone who is sent by God. That's all it is. It isn't some high-minded thing or position that people attain to. All right? It's simply a person who is sent. Do you go and teach Sunday school every Sunday because you feel called by God? If you do, you're an apostle. Do you go and witness to people in the hospital because you feel led by God? If you do, you're functioning as an apostle. That's all it is. It's not some big thing that we may never get to. All right? No, it's not that. It's simply people who are sent by God. Missionaries who are sent by God to other countries, they're functioning as an apostle. Okay? If you go down the street, a mile down your street, and you're led by God and you witness to someone, you are functioning as an apostle. That's all it is. All right? He says, Paul, an apostle, not of men, neither by man. He says, not of men. Now, the word of means its origin. Okay? So, the source of Paul's apostleship did not originate from men. All right? It did not come from men. So Paul's saying, I am an apostle, but the source of my apostleship is not from any man. All right? And then he says, neither by man. Now, it did not come through human channels. Okay? Paul didn't become an apostle because God said to this person, hey, anoint Paul as an apostle. No. Paul is saying that my apostleship did not originate from man, and it did not come through man. All right? But it came by Jesus Christ. He says, my apostleship came through Jesus Christ and him directly. But, this Greek word but is alla, A-L-L-A, and it's a superordinating conjunction. And it makes a strong contrast to the previous statement. So he's saying here, Paul, an apostle, not of men, neither by man, but by Jesus Christ. It's a complete contrast. That Greek word alla for but means a complete contrast, going the opposite direction. It's not by man, neither from man, but it's by Jesus Christ. Paul's apostleship was not by or through man, but it's through Jesus Christ and God the Father. In Acts chapter 9, verses 4 through 6, in Acts chapter 22, verses 7 and 8, and also in Acts chapter 26, verses 14 through 16, we see that Paul's calling to be an apostle, someone who is sent by God, came directly from God. Not from man, not from any human ways, but it came from God. Okay? I don't care what the Judaizers are saying. That's what Paul's saying. I don't care what they say. I'm telling you, Galatian believers, that I'm an apostle, and I'm an apostle from God. Note, in this first verse, Paul comes right out and starts to deal with one of the two main problems that the Galatian churches were having. Okay? Comes right out and deals with one of these two problems. And then he says here, but by Jesus Christ and God the Father who raised him from the dead. Okay? Who raised him from the dead. Paul was the only apostle who was called and commissioned to be an apostle after Jesus was risen from the dead. All right? After he was rose from the dead. The other 11 disciples or apostles were there before Jesus rose from the dead, but Paul was called by God after he rose from the dead. All right? Till next lesson, we'll be beginning in chapter 1, verse 2. But until then, walk with the Lord. I know he walks with you.